Monisha?
Yes, ma'am.
We can start.
A pleasant evening to one and all gathered online, and welcome to this exclusive webinar session initiated by Indian School Al Mabela, Oman by the students of class 11. It is rightly said, always keep your face towards the sunlight so that you can never see the shadow. Yes, attitude is what makes all the difference. Now, all of us looked forward for a glorious year 2020, while it proved to be the most disastrous one in the history of the world. Nevertheless, this containment period has recuperated the lost love, revived the latent potential in us, and has made the world that was heading for war to talk about one and the same thing, a solution to the pandemic. Similarly, there has been a paradigm shift in the concept of teaching and learning. While all the schools shut all across the world, education has changed dramatically and teaching has been undertaken remotely and on digital platforms. We have learned quite a lot with the hands-on experience. Not only that, research has revealed that it has raised a student's retention level, which means this type of teaching would continue as a part of our system even in the future. In consequence, we all have gathered here today for an all students webinar session on the topic positive impacts of online classes during the pandemic. Myself, Monisha Badlani, will be the moderator for today. Also, here we have with us some of our panelists who are going to speak on this topic. Among our panelists, we have with us Ms. Anusha T, Ms. Rupsa Sarkar, Ms. Christine Vargas, Master Rayan Khan, Master Karthik Wiswan, Ms. Syed Shazia Ifat, Ms. Nuzha Razia, and last but not the least, Ms. Neha Thomas. Now over to Ms. Sana Sebastian.
It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our moderator for today's session, Ms. Monisha Badlani. She's a student of class 11 Commerce Stream. She has been a part of the school since 2010. She held the positions of Sergeant at Arms in Gavel Club and Health Minister in the Student Parliament. She's also one among our school toppers of the 2020 board exams. Sai Times of Oman Writing Competition winner, 2019-2020 English Fiesta winner. She loves reading, public speaking, and painting.
Thank you, Sana. Ms. Sana Sebastian will be our question and answer coordinator. So dear audience, please feel free to jot down all the questions and queries in the chat box. Now, moving further, without taking much of your time, let's begin this webinar. Firstly, let me call upon the first panelist for the day. Here we have with us Ms. Anusha T for the topic mental health. Ms. Anusha T is a student of class 11A science stream. She has been studying in the school for the last 10 years. She had held the positions of the vice captain of Vivekananda House, as well as she was a member of the school parliament as a minister of home affairs. Her hobbies are reading, singing, dancing, and art. She had achieved a 100% marks in SST exam in her board exams 2020. She was also the winner of the declamation competition held on English Fiesta. Over to you, Ms. Anusha.
Thank you, Monisha. Confined within the same four walls of the same room, I woke up, sweating and overwhelmed with a roller coaster of emotions as I realized that I was late for school. I looked up at the clock. 10 Oh, we no longer have school, do we? A very pleasant good evening to everyone who has taken the time to come and witness this webinar. You know, circumstances have changed. We are living in this distressing period. No, I'd rather say that we are living in this challenging period. Challenges are what makes life much more interesting. And when we fight through the tough days, we earn the best days. Pause. Sit back and think how every single decision that you've made today has resulted in you watching this webinar. Don't worry, it's nothing deep. You know, we tell our parents that you would never understand, as if they haven't passed through this stage. We say, why me? As if there are more unfortunate people who are ever willing to trade places with us. We disregard our emotions by saying that the solution to our problems is too deep, it's too tough, it's too difficult for us to understand. However, more often than ever, the solution to our problems is quite easy. And it is rarely that deep. So let's stop pretending that our emotions, our insecurity, and our mental health mean nothing. Enough of bottling up emotions. Before we go further, here is how the conversation went. Hey, do you know anything about mental health? How is your mental health? You think I'm mentally ill? Do you really think that I have a mental disorder? This is a conversation I had between me and myself. And I believe it's most of y'all too. Because we think that mental health has to do only with mental illness, anxiety, and depression. However, mental disorders are just a small part of the entire picture. And I need you to understand that before we proceed further. As we all know, we recently received our board results. And I've seen some of my friends say that I'm a failure. I'm completely useless. There's nothing for me in life anymore. Not just the board results. In everyday life, we see people say the same things. So here are two very important things that a mentally stable person believes in. Number one, don't dwell on the past. Don't worry and focus on things that you cannot change. Instead, focus on the things that you can change. For instance, building a positive attitude. Number two, don't let society have the power to judge you. You don't have to please everyone. Most importantly, you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else. Instead, compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. Take it from me. The day you realize that it is not you versus the world, and by world, I mean your friends, neighbors, that one annoying cousin. It is not you versus the world. It is you versus you. And the day you realize that, my dear friend, you won. One of the feelings that we as students face during this challenging situation is procrastination and more procrastination. You know, I know someone who keeps piles of work on one hand and on the other hand says that, I am so bored. I have nothing to do. Well, this someone is me. I am that someone. And I believe it's most of y'all too. This feeling levels up to the extent that we are frustrated. We are angry and annoyed at anything and everything. So we must pause and look at it from a different perspective. How often do we have this golden opportunity? There is such an ample of time to pursue and do the things that we actually enjoy and love doing. But we pushed it off, giving the age-old excuse of I don't have time. But you do have time now, my dear friends. Keep yourself not just mentally but physically active as well. As you all know, all around the world, people are going back to the olden methodologies. Like a trend, it is all coming back. For instance, practicing yoga. We all know that a healthy body means for a healthy mind as well. So staying physically active is very important. Like we don't want to, come out of quarantine looking like a complete mess, do we? And don't judge me. Let me say something. To an extent, limit the usage of electronic devices and various social media platforms. Now, I can already hear my friends booing at me. Please listen to me. Not everything that you see online is the reality. People show us what they want us to see, and we don't necessarily understand that. And because of that, it creates, many insecurities that we never knew we had. So instead of spending time mindlessly scrolling through social media platforms, why don't we just use that time to do something productive? At the end of the day, we would be happy as well. Because if you sit back at the end of the day and think, what are the things that I have achieved or completed today, apart from the time that you spend on electronic devices, you wouldn't be able to name at least a few, right? So think about the things that are currently holding you back. And I want you to now think about a small step that you can take right here and right now to change that. Feel free to comment that down below. Whenever you feel a certain type of way, an emotion, don't just disregard it. Deal with it rationally because a healthy mindset is very, very important. At the end of the day, do things that make you happy. If you hadn't noticed, let me point that out. I'm wearing two different earrings because I want to. Well, will people think that I'm crazy? Maybe. But do I enjoy doing it? Yes. What people are saying, does it really matter? Certainly not. I believe if today you do the things that most people don't, tomorrow you can do the things that most people simply cannot. So whenever you're feeling an emotion, speak about it. Tell it to people you trust, be it family, friends, or your colleagues. You do know that the ISCM family is forever ready to lend an ear. You've got a friend in me too, personally. At the end of the day, we have to remind ourselves that we have got a second family at school as well. So let me end by saying that you, my dear friend, look really wonderful smiling at your gadget. A happy soul is the best shield to a cruel, cruel world. So don't just exist, live, seize every single moment. Thank you, and I really hope that you have a fruitful day ahead. Over to Ms. Monisha Badlani.
Wow, Anusha, kya baat hai. I was literally going through a roller coaster of emotions, as you rightly pointed out in your speech. It was truly amazing. And dear audience, remember that mental health is not the destination. It is the process. It's not important where you're going, but the only thing that matters is how well you drive yourself there. Thank you, Anusha, and let us all give it up for her. May I now call upon the next panelist for the day. Here we have with us Ms. Rupsa Sarkar for the topic Family Bonding. Ms. Rupsa Sarkar is a student of class 11A science stream. She has been studying in the school for the last 10 years. She had held the positions of the school prefect, as well as she was a member of the school parliament. Her hobbies are reading, public speaking, and painting. She was the winner of the elocution competition held on the World Environment Day. Over to you, Ms. Rupsa.
Thank you, Monisha. Good evening, everyone. Please lend me your ears. Let me tell you why it is important for us to become understanding and why is it so necessary for us to learn adjustment skills. If I had to speak with you in this way, I'm pretty sure none of you would be listening to me. First of all, why would you listen to me? Because even I'm a part of you all. Even I do those things that you do at home. Fighting with your parents, fighting with your siblings, becoming aggressive for small things. When I was given a topic like family bonding, I realized a certain things, and I just want you all to understand that. First of all, to begin with, I would like to tell you a short story told by one of my most favorite motivational speaker, Gopal Gaur Das. The story is about a group of porcupines. So there was a group of porcupines who lived in a forest. One year during the winter season, the temperature dropped below 20 degrees Celsius. It was minus 20 degrees Celsius. This temperature was too harsh for these porcupines to bear. These porcupines couldn't tolerate this temperature, and they decided to gather together and find some strategies, find a solution to their problems. When they all gathered together, they realized that their body temperature was putting together to form a warm envelope around them. They felt warmness, togetherness, and sense of security. But now one solution comes with 10 other problems. Now those problems, one of those problems you correctly guessed. It was the quills. A porcupine can come with nearly 30,000 quills. Now each porcupine in the gathering was getting poked by the other. So now there are two options. Either you leave the group, live alone, suffer the harshness and hardships of life all alone, or you stay in the group, enjoy warmness, togetherness, sense of security, and tolerate a little bit of poking. Now here comes the concept of adjustment. If these porcupines choose, they can actually adjust themselves in such a way that they don't get poked by the other members, at the same time they enjoy the other three. Now here comes these poking of the quills, like when your siblings enter in between your online classes, make lots of noise outside. It can be even your mother who is cooking in the kitchen and there's lots of noise. We need to adjust. We need to learn adjustment skills. Now, adjustment has got some limitations. So what do you do then? You have to speak up, tell your problems, know what their problem is. Becoming aggressive, fighting, throwing things, these actions can make sense to us because what we do, we know it clearly in our mind. But the observer might not know what's happening in our mind. So what do you do then? You have to speak, tell them what your problem is, know what their problem is. And one more thing, sometimes we don't value a moment until it becomes a memory. Now, our schedule is not that busy. The whole day we are at home. We have plenty of time. If we want, we can take a part of this time and we can spend with our family members, play with our siblings, we can play with our pets if we have. Because after a few days, when everything becomes normal, I'm sure everything will become normal and very soon. So when everything becomes normal, we start going to school, we have this regular coaching classes, tuition, that time we will regret that why did we make the best use of this time that we had in our hand? Why didn't we spend some special time with our family members, sibling, and our pets? Because ultimately, like I'm a student of 11th standard. After a year or two, when I leave my parents for my higher studies, I will regret for not spending enough time with my family members. And I feel this is a blessing to me that I have got enough time to spend with my family members. Talk to them, communicate. This increases your relationship. This increases the strength of your relationship. After all, a family is all about these high shrill notes, these poking of quills, and these soft low notes, ultimately a beautiful song, a melody to enjoy for a lifetime. A family is where life begins and love never ends. So, with all these being said, I hope you all understood what I wanted to convey you all. I hope you have a very nice day ahead. Over to you, Manisha. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupsa. It was really enlightening as well as heart touching. And I totally agree that family is everything. Family, as you particularly mentioned in your speech, that it is where the life begins and love never ever ends. And I believe that these online classes have really brought our families closer to our teachers and our friends, which are again our family at school. Don't you all think so? Well, thank you, Rupsa, and let us all cheer her up. Now, may I call upon the next panelist for the day. So here we have Ms. Christine Vargas for the topic responsibility. Ms. Christine Vargas is a student of class 11A science stream. She has been studying in the school for the last 10 years. She had held the positions of the school prefect, as well as she was a member of the school parliament. Her hobbies are reading, writing, photography, and art. She was the winner of the elocution competition held on the Shakespeare's Day, as well as she was the winner of the elocution and the poster making competition held on the World Environment Day. Now let us hear her views on this topic.
Thank you so much, Monisha. Good evening and a warm welcome to one and all. Today, I'm here to discuss about the responsibility we need to take on ourselves during this pandemic. In the words of Abraham Lincoln, you cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost lives and tested the entire world's patience, health, and resources. People of different ages, however, are experiencing its effects in different ways. Like the generation before us, who have faced similar catastrophes in their time when scientific inventions were at its infancy, the only way they were able to make through those situations was by shouldering the responsibility of finding a cure to win the battle against the influenza pandemic in the early 19th and 20th centuries. Today, when scientific inventions and discoveries are at its pinnacle, we are once again put to test by the COVID-19 pandemic. This global health emergency has its economic and social impacts have completely disrupted nearly all aspects of life for all groups in society. For young people and the more vulnerable youth, this pandemic poses considerable risks in the fields of education, employment, and mental health. Governments are implementing measures that limit the number of people collecting in public places. Such measures have disrupted the normal functionings of schools and universities worldwide. Because the duration of such measures have been extensive, and it is likely to continue in many countries for an uncertain time or until a vaccine has been available. It calls for the youth to become more responsible. We have to be proactive participants in helping our educators have a fruitful and wholesome educational system that results in growth and progress of the mind and body alike. What is our role, one may ask? What is our responsibility? How can we become responsible? Well, the youth of today, that is to say, us students, should shoulder much of the long-term economic and social consequences of this crisis. So, we have to become more responsible and resilient towards our approach towards education and learning today. Since schools are closed down and our approach and we are forced to learn online, let us not relax or mismanage this opportunity we have stumbled upon. We need to pull up our socks and face this situation like young adults. As students, we can be more responsible in attending our classes regularly and wholeheartedly, complete assignments, projects, and tests with honesty and integrity. Let us not misuse this sudden freedom from the confines of a classroom or away from the watchful eyes of our teachers. Instead, let us show that we truly are young adults and can handle this responsibility of our education and learning from afar as well. The scope of the internet is wide and multi-layered. We have to put it to a good use, as in to browse learning materials, to gather and assimilate new information, to learn new ways that enhance our knowledge, and to create good content that can be used to further this new way of learning. We can even use the social media platform to our advantage, as in to share our learning experiences or new information that we may have come across. We must take this responsibility of spreading awareness about the situation and ways to stay safe and healthy. We must take charge and make a conscious decision to help our families, communities, nations, and the world in general to find a way out of the situation starting from today, starting now. During a pandemic, it is important that we take steps to ensure that our families have access to accurate information, food, water, and medicines. We should stay away from misinformation and trust only reliable sources such as the World Health Organization and the local and national governments for care and treatment related information. We can use this period to spend quality time with our families, indulge in creative activities with our siblings, pursue a new hobby, or polish our skills in developing our latent talents, help our younger siblings learn and create awareness in them. This time that we have in our hands is not to mull over the negatives, but to strive ahead with a positive attitude to develop and imbibe new ways of living in the future. If each one of us in this world takes responsibility or an initiative in our own little way, then we can collectively work towards the common good and see us through this crisis on a positive note. At this time of great risk, we need to be resilient, self disciplined, responsible, and caring for others. Thank you and have a great day ahead. Over to Monisha.
Wonderful, Christine. I really love the way how you connected the idea of responsibility with the youth of today. Yes, the youth, the nation builders, the future of the nation. And yes, by this youth, I mean us students. So all of us must be determined, diligent, as well as responsible enough in order to be successful in our lives. Thank you, Christine, and let us all cheer her up. So today, my mom, she taught me an important lesson in the morning, which I would like to share with all of you. She told me that, Monisha, if you want to know the importance of 1 hour, go and ask the person who has been stuck for hours and hours in the traffic jam. If you want to know the importance of 1 minute, go and ask that student whose paper just got snatched from him. And if you want to know the importance of 1 second, yes, you are right. Go and ask the person whose train just got missed. I'm sure all of you must have guessed right. I'm talking about time management. So in order to brief us about this, here we have with us Master Rayan Khan. Master Rayan Khan is a student of class 11A science stream. He has been studying in the school for the last 1 year. He has won a lot of international school debate competitions. His hobbies are public speaking, writing, reading, and artifacts. Over to Master Rayan.
Thank you, Moderator, for the introduction. Good evening, dignitaries, panelists, and everyone attending this webinar session. I shall be speaking on the topic of positive impacts of online classes on time management. Now, as we all know, we are currently going through a pandemic, and to counter that, most of the schools and offices are now virtual. Now, I'm going to be honest, I quite like the idea of having school being brought to our homes. I mean, the idea of just waking up in the morning, taking a quick shower, and then jumping right into your classes. Doesn't it sound a bit too futuristic? But hey, we should be grateful because we are living in the future. Think about all the hassle that we are avoiding. No traveling, no getting stuck in traffic, just more time to be productive, just more time to put to words your hobbies, the things you'd love to do, and of course, studies. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of the phrase time is money. Whether we assign a dollar value to it or not, time is valuable to us. Think about it. How much of your typical work week do you spend stressed about not having enough time to complete a task or a given assignment? Which results, so how you keep postponing things on your to-do list and end up with no time left to complete your tasks, which results in, of course, sloppy work. In today's time management for students is very key. Teenage could be stressful for whatever the reason may be. And a great way to relieve all this stress is obviously managing your time correctly. Now, what is time management? In definition terms, it is the process of organizing and planning on how to divide your time between specific activities. Now, this may sound very simple, and making a schedule isn't all that big of a deal either. So why aren't we students also organized if it's this simple? Well, it's not the making of the schedule that's hard. It's the following it. Is it's the following that we struggle with. And I can go on and on with ways of being effective and efficient with time. But again, it's just easier said than done. It's the skill of being organized. It's the skill of being dedicated that everyone lacks. We all know that when we pick up a new skill, we aren't great at them immediately. It takes time. We start with smaller steps and then take bigger ones. So how does this affect time management? Well, it's simple. We need to start slower. We need to take smaller steps. We need to be easy on ourselves. And we need to treat ourselves a lot more. Making a tough to follow routine may be attractive or might seem cool, but following it would give you nightmares. So plan ahead. Make your schedule according to your assignments. Give the assignments that are more crucial more time. And don't forget to give yourself breaks. Leisure time to relax, listen to some music, or watch your favorite TV show. You know yourself the best. Hence, make your own timetable. Be your own organizer. It's basic skill set that will take you quite far ahead in the upcoming future years of your career. Now, you've made yourself a timetable and you know the basics of time management, but you still lack productivity and keep procrastinating about the things you need to get done. Stop overthinking. Get on with the smaller tasks. It's human tendency to have fun doing easier tasks, things you understand well. You will have fun doing them. And at the second you start being productive, you'll feel unstoppable. And the things will get done before you know it. Having fun at what you do is a great way to maintain attention and focus towards your task. So enjoy what you're doing. Find ways to particular tasks make more interesting. And most importantly, throw your phone away. I'm sure we've all been in a situation when we're all of a sudden getting things done. And then our phone rings, it's a notification of your friend who just sent you this stupid funny meme. And now you're browsing your phone, completely destroying your timetable. So I conclude In the words of famous American podcaster and author Tim Ferriss, focus on being productive instead of being busy. Avoid any kinds of distractions, and time management will all of a sudden feel like child's play. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay home. Over to Monisha.
Wow, Ryan, that was too good. And actually, I remember a Doha on this topic of time management. As you all know, we have heard this. Kal kare so aaj kare so ab. Kal kare so aaj kare so ab. पल में प्रलय होगी तो फिर बहुरी करेगो कब, which means that whatever you want to do it today, do it right now, or else during the time of adversities you cannot do anything and you will be nowhere. And yes, as he particularly mentioned in his speech, that time management teaches us discipline. And also, if we want to be successful in our lives, we have to learn how to manage time properly. Thank you, Ryan, and let us all cheer him up. May I call upon the next panelist for the day. So here we have with us Master Karthik Viswan for the topic technology. Master Karthik Viswan is a student of class 11B Commerce stream. He has been studying in the school for the last 4 years. He was the in charge of robotics club. His hobbies are robotics, photography, and computer programming. Over to you, Master Karthik.
Thank you, Monisha. Today I am here to share my thoughts on technology as a step forward. Today we will talk about two different aspects of technological advancement. First, how technology helps students to study efficiently. And second, how technology will help mankind to develop. Let's talk about how technology will help students. With the advancement of technology over the past few decades, we have seen a major change in the education sector. The way children are taught and the way we interact with teachers have changed, especially during the time of the lockdowns and pandemics. Online classes have bridged the gap between distance education and regular classes. Lots of applications, blogs, websites, and online classes are helping a lot to provide education to everyone with access to a computer and internet. This helps to increase the technological development of the world and also makes knowledge more accessible. And staying on the topic of online classes, our school has digitalized the assessment process so that students can take tests anywhere and at any time. So the results are also easier to declare when compared to the traditional methods of classes. Students also have the option for e-study material. They can visit online libraries for books. Teachers also make use of Google Classroom so that we have the material we need right at our fingertips. Teachers also prepare videos, presentations, and quiz games for students. This is not just an effective way of learning, but it also makes it fun for the students. Our school uses applications like Kahoot to conduct quizzes. Schools also use other applications like BlendSpace, Edpuzzle, Explain Everything, and Jamboard. Our teachers also use websites like Google, YouTube, Padlet, etc. to get videos and presentation for the students. This makes the classes more interactive and brings us closer to the traditional style of schools, but digitally. There are many people who dwell on the negative effects of online classes and claim that online classes are not good and that they are not as safe as the traditional teaching methods. But we have to remember that there are pros and cons for everything, and dwelling on the cons will not change it. And desperate times call for desperate measures. And this is the best option that we have right now during the time of pandemics and lockdowns. Now we move on to how technology has developed over the years and how it will help us pave our roads for the future. Opposing or siding with technology, what we must first understand is that it is like a knife with two sharp ends and it can be seen as both a boon and a bane. But as time progresses, we can see that it is becoming more of a boon than a bane. Of course, we can say that technology creates a lot of problems in our society, but it also solves the problems that it creates. Technology has progressed so far and this fast that we have all the information in a device we can fit in our pockets. And people do still argue that technology is bad and that we have to go back to the past where we didn't have internet and all these things and that we would be happy. But I don't think anyone would dream of living in a world without electricity. Today, technology is developing faster than ever. With quantum computers and AI companions not far away, we are ushering in a new era of technology, one that has both advantages and disadvantages. And we have to accept this change and embrace it, just like we did with the previous changes that happened in the past. And when we do that, we must always remember that change is something that is necessary and something that will always happen. It depends upon us whether we adapt with it or stand against it, but it is a process in nature and it will always happen. And as the father of evolution, Charles Darwin said, it is not the strongest of species that survive, nor is it the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. We are entering a new era of technology, and we have to face these changes and overcome them. That is how we become greater species. With that, I would like to conclude my words. Thank you for your patience and have a good evening. Over to Ms. Monisha.
Thank you so much, Karthik. And I to the student community by technology. And of course, as you said, online classes have really helped in bridging the distance between education and real classrooms. And at this point, let us all take a moment to appreciate the hard work of all our precious teachers around the globe who reach to us in best way possible and make our journey of online learning really enjoyable. Thank you, teachers. And of course, thank you, Master Karthik, and let us all give it up for him. May I now call upon the next panelist for the day. Here we have with us Ms. Shazia Ifat for the topic adaptation. Ms. Syed Shazia Ifat is a student of class 11A science stream. She has been studying in the school for the last 10 years. She had held the positions of vice captain of Gandhi House. Her hobbies are sports, photography, music, painting, and calligraphy. She was a subject topper in maths and science in her board exams 2020. She had also received the Topper of the Toppers Award for the academic year 2018-19. She had bagged third position in graffiti and also second position in 100-meter and 400-meter race. Over to you, Ms. Shadi.
Thank you, Monisha. The most important factor in survival is neither intelligence nor strength, but adaptability. A beautiful quote which is very apt in the current crisis and was given to us by Charles Darwin. A very pleasant good evening to one and all. With the current pandemic situation of COVID-19, which has affected lives worldwide, everything from businesses to education to our own lifestyles has changed. Everything now has become online. Businesses and studies are now all being done online and from the comfort of our own homes. The only thing we can do to adjust to this new normal is to adapt ourselves to it in various means and methods and also use the time available wisely in order to make our lives easier and more happier. Of course, in order to succeed in life, we all have to learn to embrace and adapt to changes that come in our lives. Today, as we all know, the way of education is completely different due to the current pandemic. The course of learning and the way of teaching had changed very rapidly due to the current situation. And well, adapting to it was very important. Earlier, we used to go to schools from our homes, but now schools have been brought to the comfort of our homes. But yes, even with this vast and great change in the system, this transition from traditional classes to online classes has been smooth and spontaneous as well for both the students and the teachers. Well, it is very important for us to adapt ourselves to these new education methods. Even though this pandemic has locked us at our homes, it has not stopped us from exploring, studying, and preparing for our future.
which also has been possible only because of the online classes. In fact, it has given us a lot of time for preparing for competitive exams, plan for our future, and do research on the scope of our ambitions, goals, universities, colleges, etc. Of course, apart from these preparations, our main school education is very important because that is the basic for all these. We have adapted ourselves to these classes in various means and methods, and I'd like to go point-wise here. First, the enormous change in the time schedule because of the different timing of our online classes. There was a time when we used to wake up at 5 a.m., get ready by 6, reach school by 7, and then return home at 3. But then came a great change in the time schedule, and well, we have adapted to it very well by changing our everyday routine. Now, children have a very different schedule and have ample of time to utilize it fruitfully. Students have changed their timings and now have allotted time for online classes and various other activities, and well, they do it in a systematic way as well. There has been a great change from the chalk and board method of teaching to the online classes. Adapting to this new way of method was also very important and well, very smooth. Students have now also learned to learn from the virtual whiteboard, PowerPoint presentations, and video lessons. This has a plus point. You may ask why. This has made students to learn things in new and different methods and also has helped them to approach their studies in a different way. Now, today, even though we know that submitting our work, our assignments, homework is no longer the same, wherein we used to give the teacher our book, he or she would correct it and then return it back to us. We still complete our work on time, thanks to apps like Google Classroom, which has helped students adapt to this new way of submission of assignments. Students also now know the responsibility of submitting their work and also know how important it is to make their own notes in the current crisis. Now, you all may think that we adapted to this new method only because of the way we changed, because of the way we changed our schedule, we changed our habits and everything. But my dear friends, let me tell you, the main reason for us, the students being able to adapt so well to these online classes, are the teachers who work day and night for us. It's not only us who had to adapt to these new method of classes, but them also. They had to change their way of teaching. They had to change everything in order to make sure that we learn perfectly. Teachers have adapted themselves to this new way of teaching and are trying to make the lessons they're delivering as interesting as possible. They try to find out various means to make the class more interactive and get the students engaged in the class. Well, now, video teaching has become the new normal for both the students as well as the teachers. Apps like Zoom and Google Meet are the ways teachers are delivering the classes today. These apps help teachers to present lessons in the way of videos, presentations, etc. It also helps them to monitor the students closely, which makes the students feel that they're still in their classroom and should maintain the same discipline, since they feel they're under the supervision of teachers. Teachers are also finding various means to get the same classroom atmosphere and also establish the same relationship they used to have earlier. Also, they have helped us to adapt to this new way of learning by providing us study materials and reference notes. Now, some of you may think, why are we still getting assignments and homework? We are still at home, there's no school, we have only online classes. But friends, teachers are giving us assignments to ensure that we students still have the habit of studying every day as we used to do earlier. Teachers are the people behind who have helped us adapt so well to these classes. A big thank you to all the teachers. Well, COVID-19 has changed the scenario of our world. Everything has now changed and become online. Everything being done from the comfort of our own homes. Our schooling methods, from studies to post-scholastic activities, have all changed and are being done online. We have adapted to this quite well. Until everything becomes all right, we have only one way to adjust to this situation, and that is to accept the change, embrace the change, and adapt to this situation in the best ways we can. I'd like to conclude now with a beautiful quote by one of the greatest scientists, Stephen Hawking. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. Stay home and stay safe. Thank you and have a great day. Over to Monisha. It was truly mesmerizing, Shazia, and I totally agree that the best possible solution during this period of COVID-19 is to adapt ourselves to changes in our surroundings. Only then we can live our lives in the best way possible. And dear audience, remember, it is not the strongest or the most intelligent one who survives, but the one who can adapt to the changes in the best possible way. So right now, I want all of you to make a pinky promise to me that you're not going to stress out at this situation and you will adapt to it and make your life successful. Thank you, Shazia, for briefing us on this very, very important topic. Let us all give it up for her. May I now call upon the next panelist for the day. So here we have with us Ms. Nuzha Razia for the topic education. Ms. Nuzha Razia is a student of class 11A science stream. She has been studying in the school for the last 8 years. She had held the positions of vice captain in academic year 2018-19. Her hobbies are sports, reading, writing, painting, and art. She was a subject topper in maths in the board exam 2020. She has also bagged bronze medal in 800 meters athletic clusters. Over to you, Ms. Nuzha.
Thank you, Monisha. A very warm welcome to everyone attending the webinar today. I, Nuzha Razia, would like to share my opinions on the positive effects of online classes on education. With the onset of the unprecedented pandemic, schools were forced to close and switch to digital learning. Due to the ongoing situation, online learning got its moment. It got its mainstream in a hurry, and it is going to upend current education practices, models, and processes going forward. COVID-19 has sparked a global realization that our current way of life doesn't work. It has also broken our perception of what is a normal and deconstructed society, as we know. One such critical area where the need for change has become evident is the educational sector. Education has become technology-oriented. Schools now use platforms like Zoom for delivering lessons and Google Classrooms for assigning homeworks. Schools often resist change, but necessity has become the mother of online reinvention. COVID-19 has become a catalyst for educational institutions to search for innovative solutions in relatively short period of time. Online education has become increasingly sophisticated in presentation of materials. Students can hear and see instructors through video or audio-based lectures so that we students can participate in real time during classes. Online education has forced us, our parents, and our educators to think critically, to solve problems, to be creative, to communicate, to collaborate, and to be agile. Online education has made us reconsider possibilities of homeschooling, which was previously considered to be an ineffective method of schooling. Right now, virtual courses are allowing us to access lessons, exercises, and interact with teachers in ways that would have been impossible if an epidemic had closed schools a decade or two earlier. Online education follows strict time restraints, which gives students enough time for self-training. It also provides us free time to indulge in various other activities to enhance the quality of our life and to improve our skills. Students now have time to develop the core scholastic skills they possess. Another added advantage of online classes is that it also provides opportunities to those who are shy and hesitant from asking questions and engaging in classroom activities,
as now they can do the same, but at the comfort of their own homes. This will help them grow confident and, despite social distancing, help them develop social skills. It inculcates values that we students can especially benefit from, as it calls for greater amount of motivation and self-discipline. It offers complementary interactive reinforcement that allow us students to study and work at our own pace. Online education has proved to be a blessing in disguise for those who face obstacles like geographical distances or physical disabilities. Online education is like a rising tide. It is going to lift all boats, making ourselves independent in actions and thoughts, becoming reflective to become more of self-learner, and understanding self-strength is going to accelerate our educational journeys. At this crucial stage of choosing the right career path, it allows us students to explore our options by letting us choose different introductory topics in different fields before committing to a specialization. It also helps us become independent by preparing us for college. A question arises: if online education is here to stay, then what are its implications on traditional method of learning and teaching? Well, instead of focusing on the pros and cons, the conversation we should be having should be about leveraging online education to make our education systems more conducive to learning. Several apps have been developed that provide enhanced learning opportunities. Since the gadgets and mobile phones have made their way into our hands, it only makes sense to make best use of technology at our disposal. As such, these applications are being used to supplement our classroom learning. As the overlap of traditional and online mode of education continues to be more and more inevitable, it is also important to steer education to the right direction with gradual but definite changes and make our education system relevant to our future through ingenuity, passion, and careful planning. Thank you and have a great day. Over to Monisha.
Very well spoken, Nuzha. And of course, I really love the fact that you mentioned about the positivity of COVID-19, that COVID-19 has become a catalyst for all the educational institutions worldwide to search for alternative techniques. And I feel that these online classes conducted on the platforms of Zoom and Google Meet are the best possible solutions found, aren't they? Well, thank you, Nizar, for briefing us on this very important topic, and let us all give a big round of applause to her. Moving on to the last but not the least panelist for the day. Here we have with us Ms. Neha Thomas for the topic Interpersonal Skills. Ms. Neha Thomas is a student of class 11A science stream. She has been studying in the school for the last 8 years. She had held the position of school prefect for the academic years 2014-15 and 2018-19. Her hobbies are reading, music, art, and historical genre. She had won the elocution competition held on the Shakespeare's Day. She was also the winner of Flip that was held on the English International School Talent Fest. Over to Miss Neha.
Thank you, Monisha. A very good evening to everyone watching. I am here to brief you about the positive impacts that online classes have brought in developing interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills are traits you rely on when you interact and communicate with others. These skills involve the ability to communicate and build relationships with others. Often called people skills, they tend to incorporate your innate personality traits and the way you are able to handle certain social situations. Some examples of interpersonal skills include active listening, verbal communication, nonverbal communication, teamwork, responsibility, dependability, flexibility, motivation, patience, and empathy. Now, let's look at how online classes have become a positive impact in developing interpersonal skills. Number one, active listening. The students are expected to have a keen listening while attending classes. They are also expected to write down as the teacher speaks. While writing, you have to be focused on what the teacher is saying so as to not miss points. Now, let me clear one thing. Hearing and listening, there is a difference. Hearing can be done by anyone. When you speak, I hear you. Well, hearing is simply the act of perceiving sound by ear, while listening is something you have to consciously think of doing. You have to be concentrated to let your brain process what the words and sentences mean. Not clear? Let me give you an example. When your parents give you the same old lecture about having to be responsible and doing your work on time and cleaning your room, you just zone them out. Here, what you do is, you know they're speaking and you hear their voices, but you don't pay attention to the words themselves. This is hearing. Now, if someone speaks about that one movie you've been dying to watch, you hang on to their every word and register everything in your memory. This is listening. But let me tell you one thing. Students are not the only one who should be active listeners. Teachers also have to listen carefully to what the students are giving as questions and answers. Only then will they be able to answer their questions, clear their doubts, and give pointers to refine their answers. Number two, verbal communication. Verbal communication is a must in classroom interaction. Now you may ask me, Neha, how has online classes helped in developing verbal communication? Well, we as students know that as soon as one raises their hand to ask a question or put up their opinions in class, everyone turns to stare at them. Everyone. And now amidst this awkward atmosphere, the one who raised their hand has to present themselves. Now, the question they ask might be something that everyone had on their mind, or as simple as not understanding a certain step. Now, if the latter is the case, the student becomes a source of laughter for everyone in the class. This decreases the confidence level of the students, and it makes them refrain from speaking up in the future. And being stared at is also not a pleasant experience. But how do online classes overcome this problem? They overcome this problem in that when you are attending online classes, you are in your own personal space. If you want to speak up, you can just unmute your mic. You can pin the teacher's video so she's all you can see. Or you could just stare at the wall behind. No one's going to question you. And you won't have to hear the discouraging laughter from your peers, even if you pose a seemingly simple question. This increases the confidence level of students. Another way in which verbal communication comes into play in online classes is when a student asks something seemingly out of the blue. So the teacher, had it been in an actual classroom, it would be easy for her or him to track down who asked the question. But in an online class with maybe 50 plus students, it's not that easy. So the teacher goes, okay, who was that? And the person would say, ma'am, me. And now the teacher's confused and she decided to be a little playful. Okay, who is me? And then you'd have to explain, ma'am, it is this person and I would like you to explain this question. This is how verbal communication has improved through online teaching. Number three, nonverbal communication. This one is well known among our students. Had it been an actual classroom, the teacher would ask for verbal confirmation regarding if the topic is clear or not. And we'd all chorus a yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. But in an online class, if the teacher asks you, is the topic clear? We shake our heads aggressively. We put our thumbs up to indicate our confirmation, and we shake our heads no to prove that or to show that it is not clear. Number 4, patience. If there's one thing that online classes have taught me, it is patience. I realize that no matter how many times I yell at my computer screen, it won't load any faster. Patience is an essential virtue of a student. We all know that online classes take time to load, assuming your net isn't slow. Now, if it is, then you know how frustrating it is to stare at that rotating symbol while waiting for your class to start. But we've been taking classes for a while now, so we've become quite used to it. Well, I have. I don't yell at my computer anymore. I just say, take your time. Patience is also developed via online class in another way. After a class, many students will have doubts. Now, while almost 10 to 15 may have a doubt at the same time, only one person can speak up. Now, the teacher has to have patience to listen to all the questions and explain it to them as many times as needed to make them clear. Also, the other students, have to have the patience to listen to what the teacher is saying. This won't give them any negative sides. The only positive side of this is that they'll achieve more points regarding the subject. After all, patience is not the ability to wait, but rather the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting. And the last one, flexibility. When you're flexible, you are able to deal with unexpected challenges quickly, calmly, and efficiently. But flexibility isn't just about reacting to situations as and when they arise. It also involves the ability to making substantial changes to the way we think, work, and behave. COVID-19 has taken a toll on all of us, but our schools were quick to come up with the idea of online teaching. Within a short span of time, both teachers and students developed and adapted to this method. This in itself implies the fact that online classes have positively affected the flexibility trait of not only students, but also teachers. These are but some positive impacts that online classes have in developing interpersonal skills of students and teachers. Character is not created in isolation or repose. It is forged through interactions with others and the world. With these words quoted by David Corbett, I conclude my words. Thank you, and over to Ms. Monisha Badlani.
क्या खूब कहे हो तुम जनाब. That was really marvelous, truly, Neha. Also, my dear audience, remember that this period of COVID-19 might feel stressful, but it has given us a golden chance to develop on our skills. And I'm sure a lot of you must have started, isn't it? Well, thank you, Neha, and let us all give her a big hand. Well, this brings us to the end of the panel discussion. We shall now proceed to the question and answer segment. Ms. Sana would be our question and answer coordinator. Ms. Sana Sebastian is a student of class 11A science stream. She has been studying in the school for the last 7 years. She was the winner of the elocution competition held on the World Environment Day. Her hobbies are reading and dancing. Ms. Sana, you may now proceed with the question hour and post the questions to our panelists.
Thank you, Monisha, for the wonderful introduction. Question everything, every stripe, every star, every word spoken, everything. These words are not mine, but of the famous American author, Ernest Gaines. And I believe all of you will agree with me that he indeed spoke rightly. Good evening all, and welcome to the question and answer session of this webinar, which is being conducted by the students for the students. We all know that it is in every student's nature to ask questions. I received a large number of questions through the chat box, from which I have selected a set of questions to ask our dear panelists. Here is my first question to Ms. Christine Verghese. Christine, you mentioned that students need to be self-disciplined while attending online classes. Can you elaborate on how one can go about it? I repeat, how one can be self-disciplined while attending online classes.
That's a great question, Sana. Let me explain. Self-discipline means regulating oneself and making corrections into one's thoughts and behaviors in order to improve oneself. For us students, in today's time, when we are attending online classes, this can mean keeping ourselves focused on assignments or in classes, not getting distracted during lectures or in times of study, and making sure that we're on track with our deadlines. This will be especially important once we enter college, where we will need to rely on ourselves and only ourselves to meet our academic goals.
Thank you, Christine, for that wonderful answer. Now, I am sure all of us know how to be self-disciplined during online classes. My next question is to Ms. Anushaji. This challenging period has made us more dependent on technology, and the side effect of this, as we all know, is laziness, and it is affecting our mental health. What do you think should be done to avoid these effects? I repeat, what should we do in this challenging period to avoid these mental effects?
Thank you, Sana. I believe this is a concern of most parents today. Let me begin by saying that everything in life is a choice. I will come back to this argument, but before that, let me say something. Anything, no matter how good it is, has pros and cons. And being mentally healthy doesn't necessarily mean neglect the negatives. Instead, shift focus on the positives. For instance, the very gist of this webinar is the positive impacts of online classes on the pandemic. Now, you see, even before the pandemic, we've been spending time on electronic devices. Now that we have an excuse to blame it on, we're saying that it is because of the online classes that we're spending so much time on electronic devices. Now, if you say that you spend only 3 hours before your electronic devices during your online classes, then let me tell you, we should feel lucky that our school actually provides us with 10-minute break between the classes, and it is not a chat with your friends, but instead walk around a bit, feel a bit more refreshed, gain back all your energy. Whether to continue using electronic devices or whether to stay physically active, again, is a choice, bringing me back to my argument. This question actually reminded me of this Malayalam saying. Please don't judge my pronunciation. It goes, Adhigamaya Amritam Visham, meaning in excessive quantity, even something as sweet as nectar that assures immortality is equal to poison. What I take away from this is that limit every single thing that you do in life. Because we know that no matter how good something is, if we excessively exploit it, then it would end up being destructive. Correct? And I believe that nothing has destructive capacity unless we give it that power. Okay, so let me end by saying that, given this particular situation, there's nothing we can do about it. So we are challenged to change ourselves. So we adapt, make healthy decisions as a responsible student. Thank you, and I hope I answered your question. Over to Ms. Sana. Thank you.
Thank you, Anisha, for that answer was certainly helpful. My next question is to Ms. Neha Thomas. This period is certainly the period where we make very less contact with others. So the question is, what challenges do we face when we are interacting with others through this online platform? I repeat, What challenges do we face when we are interacting with others through this online platform?
Thank you for the question, Sana. So, you asked me what are the challenges that we face when communicating through online platforms. Let me tell you one thing as soon as I start. Online platforms can never equal face-to-face communication. And I am a person who talks a lot. I can't go almost 10 minutes without talking. I have to speak something. I have to fill in the gaps, as they say, break the ice and speak a lot. But when quarantine started, I was like, oh no, I have no one to talk to. After a while, I started getting messages from my friends, and we decided to have a Zoom call, and just as friends. So we were planning this for about a whole week. We were fixing the time, the date, and everything in between. We were like, okay, you have to finish everything by this time, and you have to be there no matter what. But as soon as we started the meeting, as soon as the day came when we started the meeting, what hung in the air was this awkward silence, just silence. Like they say, so thick you could cut it with a knife. Well, that was what happened. It was really awkward. No one was speaking anything. We were just staring at the screen. And after a while, we thought, okay, this is too awkward. We have to speak something. So we just go, hi, hi, hello. And again, 5 minutes of silence. And just like that, our 40 minutes went. Again, we came back, started texting on WhatsApp. We were like, what just happened and why did it go this way? I mean, we are so talkative in school. What happened now? The thing is, when you are in school, you are surrounded by your friends, you're surrounded by the people that you love spending time with, and they kind of impart that positive energy to you while you're in a group. But here, it's awkward because what you're doing is you're just staring at a screen and talking while your family members stare at you like something is wrong. This creates the awkward atmosphere, and I'm sure all of you can relate. But when I talked to a couple of my other friends, they said that they've been hosting these Zoom meetings for a while now. And initially, I was awkward, but then they slowly started breaking the ice and talking more. And now it's almost like, what happened during school, how they talk during school. It's never gonna equal face-to-face interaction, but we have to make use of what we have now, because what's happening out there is not in our hands. Well, it is in our hands in a way, but to the best of our abilities, the only thing that we can do right now is through the screen right here. So, and nothing is going to be easy or smooth the first time you try it. Everything starts awkwardly and you stumble initially. But as you go, as you move forward, things start making more sense, things start becoming smoother, and you'll get there eventually. So don't stop doing what you're doing right now. Just keep doing what you're doing. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
I do agree with you, Neha. Online conversations do not equal with face-to-face conversations. And thank you for that informative answer. The next question is to Ms. Vutsa Sarkar. How important it is for us to maintain a healthy relationship with our family during this pandemic. I repeat, how important it is for us to maintain a healthy relationship with our family during this pandemic.
Thank you so much, Sana, for this wonderful question. Sure, it's really very, very important to have a good relationship with our family members. We need to learn how to support our parents, because more than us, I feel that our parents need more support because we are staying at home the whole day, and many of our parents don't have leave from their offices, so they have to continue working. They face the outer world and they need more support from us. And I feel that talking is a brahmastra in this case, because when you have a problem, ask others about what would they do if they were in your shoes. Collect ideas and find a solution to your problems. Tell others if you know the solution of their problems, and that is how you can sort out things. At the same time, talking for some people is really, some people find it really very easy to talk, and others find it very difficult to express themselves. So in that case, we need to actually wait for the other person to speak. Make them comfortable, let them speak, okay, before you rush on to your points and conversation, right? So this is how you can make your relationship stronger, and it's really very, very important to have a good relationship, especially in this time of pandemic. Everybody needs our support. I hope I have answered your answer. I hope I have answered your question, Sana.
Thank you, Rupsa, for the beautiful answer. My next question is to Master Rayan Khan. How do we prioritize tasks according to the time that we have in our hands? I repeat, how do we prioritize tasks according to the time that we have in our hands?
Thank you, Sana. Like I had mentioned in my session earlier, planning ahead is a great way to prioritize tasks which are more important with a closer deadline and needs to be allotted more time. Now, this may sound quite bland of an answer, but hear me out. It really just depends on each individual. Not everyone is the same. Some tasks might be easier for a few and challenging for the rest. Hence, you need to know your potential and plan accordingly. Thank you, Sana.
Wonderfully spoken, Rayan. Thank you for answering. The question and answer session of today's webinar have come to an end. I think all of my friends will agree with me that this has been one of the best webinars we have all witnessed. A big round of applause to all of them who put their efforts into this webinar. Thank you, everyone. Over to Ms. Monisha Badlani.
Thank you, Sana. All the questions and answers were truly sensational. So, if I were to ask you to name the first person who landed on moon, I'm pretty sure I'll get a bunch of answers. But what if I asked you to name the second person? I barely hope that I'll get any answers. You know why? This is because traditionally we do not value the second and third positions as much as we must. After all, it's not only the first person who deserves all the name, fame, and a notable status. Whether you believe it or not, all of us do. Because all of us put in so much hard efforts and give our best. So with this said, let us move to the concluding part of this webinar session. First of all, I would like to thank the management team of ISAM who gave us such a great opportunity to take up webinar on this very important topic, which is the need of the hour. Secondly, I would like to thank our respected Principal Sir, Mr. P. Prabhakaran, Honorable Vice Principal Ma'am, Dr. Gladys Diana Sivkumar, the IT Department of ISAM, and of course, our Media Coordinator, Mrs. Ashley Ma'am, for their constant support and guide. Also, I can never forget to thank our dear panelists who put in so much hard efforts and answered so very marvelously. Without them, this session would have never been possible. Thank you, panelists. Finally, last but not the least, a very big thanks to all the parents and students out there who took out time from their busy schedules and attended this program and made it such a great success. Once again, thank you one and all. So now, to sum up, let us all take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and remember those good old days with your friends, with your teachers and your peers at school. Now, slowly come back to this present moment wherein all of you are quarantined at home. I know it's very difficult. And that's the exact reason why we had held this webinar session. So I'm sure all of you must be filled with a lot of positivity and of course, encouragement after attending this webinar session. And it is rightly said, we can never go back and change the beginning. But we can start from where we are and definitely change the ending. With this said, myself, Monisha Badlani, signing off. Thank you and have a resourceful day ahead.